Hey everyone, welcome to the Devy to Dynasty YouTube channel. I am Brandon Lejeune, host of also the Devy to Dynasty football podcast and creator of the Devy dashboard. Got a great show for you today. We are going to discuss my top 30 Devy running backs. It is the beginning of August. We have a month until fall ball, so we got excitement on the way. And I've been adjusting my Devy ranks on my Devy dashboard, a great product. I'm going to give it a quick plug here right now. If you're looking for the ultimate Devy and C2C resource, man, you got to check out my Devy dashboard. It is a research center, big database with a lot of great film analysis, metric analysis, Slack chat, good stuff. You're going to see some images I'm going to post here shortly as we go through the list, and these are all images from the dashboard. So if you're interested, my email address is below. Hit me up via email. I'm not on Patreon. I don't like monthly fees. You just buy me a case of beer for $25. I will give it to you for 12 months. So buy me a beer twice a month, and I'm going to give you a lot of great information on the Devy dashboard. If this is your first time, on my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing a show on my top Devy quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight end before fall ball starts through the month of August. So let's get right to it. All right, how would I do my ranks, right? So in my Devy dashboard ranks, I've got over probably 80 running backs ranked, right? But what I do is I tell my Devy dashboard people and my subscribers that really out of the next 3 years, we're really only going to get 30 guys that contribute to our dynasty rosters. This list that we're going to go through right now, this is not a C2C list. This is a Devy list, right? These are my 30 top guys right now playing in college that I think have the best, chance to hit our dynasty rosters. That's why we play Devy, right? Yeah, we went to production points if we're in a deep C2C league, but for the majority of people that play Devy, you've got these guys sitting on your dynasty rosters. So my top 30 here are guys that I think have the best chance of, like I said, getting on our dynasty rosters. I tier my ranks as well. So I'm going to do tier 1 first, then I'm going to go tier 2, and then tier 3. So let's get right to it, man. So tier 1 for me are guys that are just slam dunks. I think are going to get the draft capital. They're going to get the big opportunity early in their NFL careers to hit our dynasty rosters and be early producers for our dynasty rosters. Okay, so let's get to it. I mean, I think the first two guys are pretty chalky, I think, for all Devy guys, right? First that we got, you can see here on the list, we got Bijan Robinson, Texas, big season coming up. He's a junior. He should declare next year. Not much to talk about Bijan Robinson. If you've got shares of him, consider yourself lucky because he's pretty hard to trade for right now. Second guy here on my number 2 list, again, I got 5 guys in my tier 1. Trevion Henderson from Ohio State. Great freshman season last year. Should really continue to produce great numbers at Ohio State. They should be a well-oiled machine with Stroud and all those great receivers. So again, Robinson and Henderson, you can have these guys flip back and forth, but they're pretty much 1 and 2 in most people's lists. If they're not, you're getting kind of chalky because this list is going to get difficult as we get down into the 20s and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of projection that we're going to talk about. The number 3 guy for me in my tier 1 is Zach Evans, 5'11", 212. He's got that good size. Transferred to Ole Miss this year. Played at TCU last year. It's at a kind of rough recruiting, situation coming out of high school. There have been some red flags here and there, but nonetheless, he goes to a good program, should really do well. Nice to see him go to the SEC from TCU and really, go after that competition. He should be the lead dog there. There's rumors about him not wanting a full load to save himself for the NFL. Either way, I think he's going to be a day 2 guy, not a day 1 guy next year, unless he just goes berserk. But nonetheless, he's a solid Devy asset right now. He is number 3 for me. Number 4 is Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, again, another transfer going to Alabama. Good choice for him, coming from Georgia Tech. He said, I want to go play with the best, again, going into the SEC. And he's going to just be a dynamic weapon out of the backfield. He is going to lead Alabama's backfield. I'm sure he was told when he decided to transfer there that that's where he was going to go and get the rock a lot. I can see Saban really utilizing him out of the backfield in the passing game. Spring reports have shown a lot of great clips of him catching the ball. So again, not unexpected to have Gibbs and Evans here in my tier 1. I got one guy left that I think is going to be a guy when he finally gets to the NFL that will be a immediate starter, and that is Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin. 6'2", 238 pounds. Really like his film. I talked about him on my podcast about a week or 2 ago with my co-host Josen DiRienzo of Devy Watch, and we really dug into his film. I really like his footwork, his vision, big kid, because he's at Wisconsin, right? So we all have these images of Jonathan Taylor too, right? Big kid, can come in. So he's young. He was 17, I think, last year. Maybe he's 18 now, maybe early 19 by the time Christmas comes along. Not really sure. But anyway, he's going to be a young guy still learning how to play the position. But I love his physicality. I think he's got good vision. You watch his film, there's guys been draped all over him, and his contact balance is phenomenal. So that really rounds out my tier one running backs, right? These are the guys that I think could come in and get an immediate opportunity to play for their NFL teams when they are drafted, and they all should get early draft capital. All right, I got 4 guys in my tier 2, all right? And my tier 2 kind of consists of guys that are going to get early draft capital but may or may not get a full load when they get to the NFL. My first guy is Tank Bigsby out of Auburn. All right, now the shine's kind of rubbing off on Tank here over the last year. He's going to be going into his junior year, 6 foot, 208 pounds, has the size. Kind of had a down year last year. I haven't given up on him. I think if he, I think he was injured a little bit. I think he comes in with a good season. There's a good chance he gets day 2 draft capital and may or may not get the ball early in his NFL career. We don't know yet. Don't know. Could, maybe not. Second guy, I'm going to take a kind of leap of faith here, and that's Nicholas Singleton from Penn State. So again, in Devy, we have fun, right? We have fun. We have to project a little bit in Devy, right? So this is a guy that should get the ball early and often in Penn State this year. Has the size, 6 foot 210. He's probably going to get bigger. I mean, you get in that Penn State weight room. He's already shown video squatting 600 pounds. I have a feeling he could be the next Trevion Henderson. He could be the next Bijan Robinson, right? So I'm going to take an early stab at a guy like that with the big upside. Risk-reward pick, but I like him in my tier 2 because if he really hits hard this year at Penn State and the backfield is wide open, he should really have a great opportunity to really rise in the Devy ranks and be a day 3 guy. And Penn State's known. I mean, they put Miles Sanders and Barkley and lots of guys in the NFL. All right. Third guy here in my tier 2 is I got Sean Tucker from Syracuse. So I feel pretty good about this, but I'm not sure because, he plays for the ACC. Again, he very productive player, had a little backfield work coming out of the backfield, catching the ball. He's getting the buzz right now for the NFL draft next year. He should be a day 2 guy. So again, I'm going to see what he does this year, but nonetheless, he had a very productive season, strong, fast. He's got to improve some stuff on the field, but nonetheless, I like him a lot. And the third guy kind of tearing out here on my tier 2 is Will Shipley from Clemson. All right, has the size, big pedigree coming out of high school. I really broke down a lot of his tape, talked to him about him also on my podcast a few weeks ago. Little concern about his explosiveness and his vision, but again, he's a freshman, so we can't knock him too bad. Clemson, I think, has got to be better this year, better offensive line. The DJ experiment, hopefully improves where he can get a little better his sophomore year. So that rounds out my tier 2. So these are tier 2, 4 guys that I think can possibly get the draft capital next year. They're just high assets anyway. So whether you got them or not and you like them or don't like them, either way, you have a good Devy asset with these 4 guys in tier 2. All right, so tier 3 is going to round out pretty much the rest of my top 30 here, okay? And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these guys because I don't want this show to go on and on and on, but I'm going to give you guys all the names as we go through here. All right, now this is going to be a little chalky for a lot of people, but man, I really like Andrew Paul. So you're going to probably look at me and say, what, are you out of your mind? The kid is like buried in the depth chart on Georgia, but I like what I see. All these tier 3 guys can kind of be mixed around as I go through here, okay? But the next 3 guys that I'm going to talk about are guys that haven't even played yet, but I think have big upside, and that's Andrew Paul, Jamarian Miller from Alabama, and then Branson Robinson also from Georgia, okay? These 3 guys are next 10 and 11 and 12 for me in my list because I think they've got really good upside. Watching their high school film, I think they have the ability to do some good things. Coming in at number 13, I have Kenny McIntosh from Georgia. Another pick that a lot of people are probably like, are you serious? Are you kidding me? But listen, man, this time last year, nobody was talking about Cook from Georgia, right? And I think Kenny McIntosh has waited his turn in Georgia. We know the rotation of backs in Georgia. You got to wait your turn. But there's just no reason. Him and Milton are going to get the ball fed a lot this year. That's what they do. They just give it to the senior guys. And I think I think McIntosh is going to make a name for himself this year. So I'm getting on that train just a little bit early, but don't be surprised. He's a sleeper next year in the draft where, Cook right now has been drafted, I think day 2. And he's, an asset in our rookie picks that people are pretty excited about. Either you love him or hate him. You think he's overvalued or not. It doesn't matter. He got the draft capital, and he's on a hell of a team. And the same thing could happen to McIntosh next year. All right. Blake Corum is another guy coming in at number 14. Undersized guy. Been a Blake Corum, guys. If you guys follow me on Twitter or follow me on this YouTube channel or my podcast, you know that I've always been a Blake Corum fan. But with that said, I'm not, silly to think that his size is a concern. Tough for his size, well built, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Kind of faded last year at Michigan. Donovan Edwards, a guy we're going to talk about here shortly, is going to be sharing the backfield with him in Michigan. But I still think Blake Corum can carve out a role in the NFL, as that pass-catching back who could be a nice contributor to a team if he lands in a good opportunity in a good spot in the NFL. So a lot of these guys I'm talking about here, rounding out my 30, they all have got kind of blemishes, man. There's the running backs in Devy, as much as we want to think that it's super deep, a lot of the guys we're going to talk about here all have, it's all based on projection. It's all based on, guys that we hope will improve. And that's the fun part of this game. All right, so let's continue down the list. I got Kendall Milton coming in here next. Again, Georgia, waiting to see what Milton does. High recruit, right? Now this is his year, man. This is his year to shine, right? It's going to be him and McIntosh in that backfield. And this should be, both of these guys should be pounding it. And we know that Georgia loves to run the ball. So both of these kids are going to get an opportunity to showcase their skill sets and get NFL draft capital. All right, coming in after that, Zach Charbonnet, all right, from UCLA coming in, it looks like at number 16 for me here. Interesting that he came back last year. He was a junior last year, and we all thought he was going to be part of that class last year and decided to come back. So, that's a blemish for a lot of people, right? Did he not get like what he heard from the NFL? I'm not sure, but nonetheless, he is going to get fed the ball a lot at UCLA. And, after the top 2 guys next year, Robinson and what we were talking about, Robinson and Zach Evans and Gibbs or whatever, there's a lot of question marks in next year's class. So I really like Zach Charbonnet as maybe a top 10 back. I think he's going to get early day 3 draft capital, maybe day 2, if he really does well at UCLA and improves on some of the things as the burst in speed a little bit. Physical player, love his play style, love big backs who are just bruisers, and that's who Zach Charbonnet is. So let's not count him out yet. Jason McClellan, Alabama, number 17. Again, Alabama running backs, we have to look at Brian Robinson. Look at all these guys that go later in their careers and in college get the NFL draft capital. Now, McClellan's coming off, the knee injury. He's got Gibbs in front of him. I get it. But nonetheless, I think that, Jason McClellan, high recruit, going to Bama, we might have to wait another year. Maybe he gets sprinkled in this year, but he's an asset that I think if next year he gets the ball and gets a lot of work in that backfield, he could be an NFL dynasty guy for us. All right. Coming in at number 18 is Donovan Edwards from Michigan. Did a really big video, broke down all of his 2020 film on this YouTube channel, so go check it out on here. Look, the kid can catch the ball out of the backfield, but I got real questions on his ability to run the ball in between the tackles. Go watch the film. I'll give you the deep dive, and you'll see for yourself. He's got a lot of work to do. He's going to be given the opportunity, though. High recruit. A lot of people are excited about him in the Devy community, and I understand why. The kid can catch the ball. Maybe he's a PPR guy, in the NFL at the next level and not someone who's going to be asked to carry the rock in between the tackles. So he does have some value. All right. Devin Achane, a guy that, I struggle with, right? He's 5'9", 185 pounds, super productive at Texas A&M. He's going to be the lead guy this year. There's just, him and Amari Daniels and LJ Johnson, who's buried in my running backs. I just don't know. He didn't look great last year. So Achane is going to be Achane, however you say his last name, I think is going to be a guy who's going to be like a Kenny Gainwell for the Eagles, someone like that. As much as he's been productive in college running in between the tackles, it's the NFL, right? So he's not going to be running in between the tackles in the NFL. He's going to be one of those space creation guys like a Cook who went to the Buffalo Bills, maybe a Rashad White who went to Tampa, somebody like that. Some guys who are just better not running in between the tackles, don't have the skill or the size, but can be an offensive piece in an exciting and explosive offense. And I see that's where Achane's going to be. All right, coming in at number 20 is I got Israel Abanikanda. good size, 5'11", 210. Love to see them just feed him the ball with Slovis there now. Pickett's gone. Addison's gone. I hope they turn into a running team and focus and showcase this kid. He's got some skill. He's got some lateral movement. He's got some power. He's got some speed. I hope they let him, just give him the ball freaking 300 times, and let's see what he is as an NFL Dynasty asset. Next 3 picks here, I'm going to go with freshmen, all right? I'm going to go with Trevion Citizen from Miami. I got Jadon Blue and Quinshawn Judkins, okay? Citizen's buried in the depth chart right now, all right? So Henry Parrish transferred in. It looks like he's going to be the guy. Jalen Knighton, I'm not a big fan of. Donald Chaney as well. So you got some guys, but I know Miami's new coaching staff wants to run the rock big time. And I think, all those guys in front of them are nothing special to me as far as a Dynasty or Devy asset. So I'm going to roll the dice on Citizen here and take a shot with him. Jadon Blue, man, a lot of people are probably thinking like, man, you have him low in this list. I get it. He's going to have to wait a year behind Bijan Robinson. I like his film, but I wasn't like enamored with it. But anyway, he's very, very high, got very high value in the Devy community right now. And he's going to have to wait. They may sprinkle him in a little bit. But we're going to talk about somebody else here very shortly from Texas who I kind of like as a sleeper, who might get in his way, at least for this year, okay? Judkins going to Ole Miss. He's going to have to wait for Zach Evans. I get it, but, man, I really liked his his high school film, rather. He played in the spring game, showed a little burst. His title game last year in high school, he was just a monster. So I really am high on Judkins, have been from the start. So I'm going to project, right? But like I said, some of these picks in the top 30, we got to project, right? That's the fun of the game, right? We're going to hit, we're going to miss, but don't matter, man. We're just doing this shit for fun. So it really doesn't matter. All right, so Raheem Sanders coming in at number 4. Like him, watched a ton of film on this kid. I think he's a very raw runner. People are enamored with his size. I get it. 6'2", 225 here on my list. He's got a lot of work to do, I think, with the vision and stuff. He had a couple productive games last year for Arkansas, but they're going to be a committee this year. So I don't know if they're going to feature him. They've got other backs, too, that have been productive. But nonetheless, he's a raw kid, changed positions, I believe, to be a running back. So we got to give him a break and give him some time to develop. All right, so coming in after Mr. Sanders, I've got Tavion Thomas from Utah, older guy. All right, so we got Mika Bernard there, but Tavion Thomas was really productive, especially towards the end of last season, and I think they're going to feed him the ball a ton. Another kid, another sleeper guy that keep an eye on is Jalen Glover. He really looked good in the spring game, so if you're in your supplemental C2C drafts or a deeper startup, keep that name, Jalen Glover, too. He might just take over. He might get on the field this year. I'm not sure, but when Tavion Thomas maybe next year, I think Thomas is a senior or even a redshirt senior, older prospect. He's probably going to have to go to the NFL next year. I'm not 100% sure, but let's assume he does. Jalen Glover is someone that you maybe want to take a look at and write that name down. All right. So another guy here that is showed us something in the spring game, and that's Javonte Barnes from Oklahoma. All right. So I don't like Eric Gray, never have. I think he's soft. I think he's going to be like one of those pass-catching backs like C.J. Verdell that gets lost in the draft and never ends up on our Dynasty roster. So I think Barnes is going to get an opportunity in Oklahoma this year to really maybe make an impression. So I'm going to, roll the dice with the projection pick and go with Barnes. Coming in at number 27, one of my sleepers for the NFL draft next year is Rashawn Johnson from Texas. He's the forgotten running back in Texas. We're all Bijan'd up. I get it. I mean, everyone wants Robinson. He's the guy. A lot of exciting things happening in Texas with Worthy and Ewers and the whole team and everything. But Rashawn Johnson, he is the leader in that locker room from the running back room. He is a guy that everyone loves on that team. He's 6'2", 219 pounds, right? So I see him as an NFL prospect next year, early day 3, a guy that no one's talking about right now, but I think once the NFL scouts watch his game, not the most lateral movement guy, not the most explosive guy, but he's a big physical back, kind of like a Tyler Algier, a guy that, has got some receiving ability. He's just a bruiser, a big guy. And Tyler Algier landed in a great spot with Atlanta, and I'm thinking Rashad Johnson, early day 3 guy like Algier, might just end up being on our Dynasty roster, but I like what I've seen on film, so I got to include him here in my top 30. All right, we got two more guys. Another projection guy I really, really like. You're probably going to think I'm nuts, but you know what? It's my show. It's my list. But a guy that if I'm you, I'm drafting in every late startup or C2C supplemental draft, and that is Damari Alston from Auburn. Love this kid, 5'10", 205 pounds. Cadillac Williams, the running back coach, is like just enamored with this kid. Yeah, it's all about Tank Bigsby this year, but let's project further after next year. Like what does that running back room look like? Well, I think, it's going to be a guy who could be Damari Alston, and I know Cadillac Williams was so excited when he got him to commit to Auburn. Looks like I skipped the guy, Dwayne McBride from UAB. I skipped over him by accident, number 28. The kid was super productive, 1,300 yards, 13 TDs, averaged 6.7 yards a carry. Now he's at UAB, which people are going to maybe be like, well, you know what? But we've seen guys come from smaller schools from running backs that have hit our NFL rosters, probably a day 3 guy next year. But it doesn't matter. Some of these guys can emerge. So a guy that was really productive, and I'm looking for a little bit more production from him and see if he can improve his skill set as he heads into this fall. But a guy that I've got my eye on as well. And to round out my top 30, I'm going to take another projection shot with a freshman with Le'Veon Moss from Texas A&M. From what I saw, I said earlier about L.J. Johnson, not the biggest fan from what I've seen from him. So I'm going to go projection for Le'Veon Moss as my, rounding out my top 30. So out of all my Devy running backs on my Devy dashboard, these are the 30 guys that I'm going to be watching the most this year. I'm going to be watching the film on these kids. And some are going to fall out and some other guys are going to come in. I get it, man. It's only August 1st, right? But you got to start somewhere in your analysis process and get these lists, all right? So, guys, I'm going to just give you round out some names here that aren't on, outside my top 30, just to give you some more names like Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, Chase Brown, George Pettaway. Got a lot more freshmen. Chris Rodriguez from Kentucky. He's in a little bit of trouble right now. Lou Nichols is somebody, possibility. But, so if you're looking at this top 30 list and saying to yourself, like, wow, man, you're missing this player, maybe they're going to be in the top 30. I don't know. But I've watched a shit ton of film over the last 2 months, really trying to narrow this down, getting ready for fall ball. So, again, if you're interested in getting some information about the Devy dashboard, again, you can do research on all these players. I'm putting out all 22 films, and we got a great Slack chat. We're discussing player values and trades and all sorts of stuff, man. Just hit me up on my email below. Hit me up on Twitter at Devy Deep Dive. And again, if you're a subscriber to the channel, I appreciate you. Really trying to grow this channel and give you guys some great Devy and film work. So there you got it, man. That is my top 30. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I'll be dropping probably my wide receiver show probably in about a week or two. So again, thanks for watching.